All right, today we're installing the Blum Drawer glides. This is the Tandem Plus Blue Motion Drawer Slides. Not quite what I would call them. I would call them an Undermount soft close drawer glide. And this is not a sponsored video. I just like these drawer glides. That's what I've used on most all of my cabinet type projects. So the first time you go to install these, it might seem a little bit complicated, but once you install one, it's actually pretty easy. So I'm going to walk you through how I install them. All right, so the first thing we need to do is figure out how big this drawer box needs to be. These Undermount glides have a specific size that you need to build your drawer box to make them work. So I'm going to talk about the drawer glides where you set up for a 1/2 inch thick drawer box. These drawer glides go from 1/2 inch to 5/8, and then there is a setup that goes to 3/4 of an inch, but that's a different model numbers. All right, so most likely the instructions are in millimeters, but because I like fractions and stormtroopers, I'm going to talk in imperial numbers. So the drawer glide needs 9/16 on the bottom and a 1/4 inch space on the top, and then 5/16 on either side. So if you add 9/16 and a 1/4 inch, that'll give you 13/16. So you measure your opening and minus 13/16, and that'll give you how tall your drawer box needs to be. And then 5/16 on either side, so that's a total of 5/8 inch. So measure your drawer opening and subtract 5/8 of an inch, and that'll give you how wide your drawer box can be. So that's a basic setup to make sure your drawer box is going to fit inside your cabinet with the Undermount drawer glides. All right, so I pulled my drawer box out, and now on the bottom of the drawer, we have these doohickeys. The instructions call them locking devices. This one will press the button and it'll raise and lower the drawer adjustment, but you can also order these guys to where it'll adjust the side to side. So they have a couple of different varieties of these. And they need a 1/2 inch thick space to fit on the bottom of the drawer. So your drawer bottom needs to be recessed in a 1/2 inch. All right, and then we have the drawer slides that get attached into the cabinet, and this little notch here allows them to pass through. And then on the back of this drawer glide, it has this little pin here, and that pin goes into this hole in the back, and that helps center the back of the drawer in the opening. So this little plastic tab, you push it up and down, and it raises and lowers this pin that fits into the back of the drawer, which will adjust your side-to-side tilt on the drawer. So you push that guy in. That little white tab there clicks into the bottom of our locking device and locks it into place. And then when you want to remove the drawer from the cabinet, you just reach under the drawer and squeeze that tab, and it releases, and you can remove the drawer from the cabinet. All right, so this is a 21-inch drawer glide, and to figure out the length of the drawer is basically 21 inches from the face to the back of the drawer. If you were to measure the locking device to the back of the drawer, you're only 20.5 inches, and that's because they're assuming you have a 1/2 inch, at least a 1/2 inch thick drawer front before your actual face. So I have a video on how to build these drawer boxes. If you're interested, I will put a link somewhere to that guy. So now that you got your drawer boxes built, it's time to install the slides themselves. And the best thing to do is to get the Blum T65 jig. This will save you a lot of measuring and farting around trying to get it to fit just right. So this comes with this jig, a couple of drill bits, and these drill bits have stops on them, and a Phillips driver. So the first thing you want to do is make sure your stop is set at the right spot so you don't drill too deep. So on the back of the jig, it has 2 stops on it, one for this guy. So you just drop that in there and make sure the collar bottoms out against the plastic, and make sure the tip of the bit is bottomed out up against that guy. So pretty self-explanatory. Has an Allen wrench so you can loosen and adjust this collar. So that one looks good. Same thing with this guy on this side of the jig. All right, that guy looks good. So on the back of the drawer glide, it has this little pin. So we need to drill a hole for that pin. And this jig is multifunctional. So the first setting is to drill the hole for the pin. So you just set it on there, and it has some play in it because it's designed to work with different thickness walls. So you want to push it so it's all the way over against this drawer side. You don't want it to be pushed back this way. You want to make sure pushed all the way over to this side because your hardware is going to reference on this edge. All right, so you want to use the larger drill bit and basically just drill till it stops. The jig has 2 slots, so the other side, and this time push it all the way to this edge. All right, and then if you turn the jig around, it'll go up in this top left corner. So it has a drill collars on this side, and then if you spin it around, then it goes in this top right corner, and that's the pre-drill for these guys. So you have a left and a right. All right, so we're switching over to this other bit. All right, and this is at an angle. So you just want to follow the angle of the collar. All right, turn it around. All right, so I didn't actually need this center hole because there's only 2 spots on that. That is probably for a different size of these. These guys come in different configurations. This is the standard configuration. There's an upgrade that has a wheel in here that allow you to adjust your drawer left or right, depending on how you need it adjusted. I find the standard ones work great for me, but if you have trouble, that lateral adjustment might be a good thing for you. All right. All right, and there is that side done. And now there are screws that go straight down. If you used a 1/2 inch thick bottom as is recommended, you can add some additional strength by adding that screw in there. Just make sure you pick a screw that's not going to blow all the way through. All right, so that's it for installing the drawer hardware. All right, so this pin goes in that hole. Now, once this is installed and it's in the back of the cabinet, you're not going to be able to reach it. So you got to hope to make sure you've drilled that hole in the right spot and everything's good and square. And that's when that jig comes in handy. One thing I like to do just to help make it easier to go in, especially if your client takes this out and you're not there to show them how to get it back in, it'll help it almost always find its home if something gets a little out of whack, is to chamfer that hole. So I've lost my chamfering bit, but this is a 1/2 inch twist bit that's got a little bit of a bevel on it. So I'm just gonna take a shallow pass on there just to create a little bit of a chamfer. There we go. So now when that pin hits anywhere in that radius, it's gonna help guide it into the hole. All right, so now next is to attach the Undermount drawer glide in your cabinet. Now on the back here, there's this little slot, and it comes with this bracket that has this little flange on it here that slides into that slot, and then you can screw this to the back of the cabinet. Now most of the time when I build cabinets, I'm putting like a 1/4 inch thick plywood back on it because I don't want to waste money on something that's just closing up the back of the cabinet. So I usually don't use these. I almost always set up my drawers so I can use the side mount screw holes, and then I side mount it directly into the cabinet. All right, so hopefully I can do this and not block your view. But basically, our drawer glide will sit in here just like this. And this web frame in here is not necessary. You can use a jig to put up here just temporarily to rest this on, and then move it over to the other side, and then rest the other side over here. That way you're guaranteed that you're mounting them at the exact same spot. But I like this web frame. It makes it, 1, easier to install these guys, and 2, it gives something for the drawer to close against, and there's no crack there between the drawers. So that way there's no dust or sawdust or anything like that getting in there. So that's why I built the cabinet with this dust frame in it. And also it gives it some rigidity so it doesn't rack. It's less likely to rack with this in here. So strengthens the box, gives a nice positive stop for the drawer, and easier to install the drawer glide. So that's why most of the time I set the drawer up like this, unless I need the extra depth for my drawers. Okay, so on Blum's instructions, with a 1/2 inch thick drawer front, they say to set this back 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So I'm going to set my square here for 1/8 of an inch and just set it on here like this and butt this up against it. All right, and then I have a self-centering drill bit. I think these are called Vix Bits. I don't know if that's the brand or just the style of bit it is, but if you search Vix Bit, you'll probably find one. So I'm 1/8 inch setback. Add my first screw. Double check to make sure I'm still within 1/8 of an inch. All right, perfect. All right, now I'll just do the same thing on the other side and test fit our drawer. All right, so we got them all installed, and all you have to do to get your drawer in there is pull these guys out. Set your drawer on top and reach down here and just push it till it clicks. Push it in to you. There we go. Now I just need to put my drawer front on there. All right, there we go. Installation of our Undermount soft close Blum drawer glide. Or as they call it, Tandem Plus Blum Motion Drawer Slide. All right, today we're installing these Blum soft closed, these Blum Tandem Motion, Blum Plus Motion drawer glides. Obviously, they need better marketing because basically what they are is a really nice undermount soft close drawer glide. And so that's what I'd call them.